Yeah, how successful censorship is on TV. Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah. And this is the Doc Force. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Oh, boy. This may not work. Let me do this real quick. That will definitely be annoying throughout the whole show. So right now I'm doing something a little different tonight because we got a special guest. Let's see if I can get this real quick. Full screen that. I am going to be... I'm going live right now. I'm live right now on TikTok. So this is the first doing the show like this, and I've got it aimed at one of the screens, and so that was the sound you're hearing. All right, so tonight is going to be a show like no other, and I'm just really stoked, man. I've been kind of jittery all day, to be honest with you. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. I've been wanting to get somebody that was involved in the secret space program for a very long time. And tonight's the night. So let's do this real quick, though. You know how the order of the show goes. Let's give our howdy do's real quick to everybody. Let me say 50 people right off the bat. Gosh, this is going to be a good show. This is going to be a good show. So let's do our quick how do you do to everybody. We got Maggie. She was first on board. She's looking forward to this. CJ's here. Casey's here. MC's here. Andrea's here. Bhakta. I hope I said that right. Please, I hope I didn't offend. Yes, God help us all. Terry H. Mr. B from Australia's here. Dino. Disco Tina. Hello. The Andromedan. And let's see. That's because I'm doing through mine that I put up a minute ago. Dr. Maurice Salas. Well, hello, welcome to the show. Let's see. Scrolling through what I wrote today. Shelly Bennett is here. Welcome. Our dear friend Paul Marsh is here. Let's see. Word Weaver. Wow, from Northern Rivers, Australia. I am getting a lot of people from Australia. I'm loving it. And as soon as travel is, non-restrictive anymore, believe me, I'm coming to visit. I'm definitely, and we'll do some episodes up there. Christina Teal or Teld. Was Christina or Christine? Can I just do it any worse? I apologize. John P. Adventures is here. Welcome. Our dear friend Dave Dennis from down under in Australia. Julie Franks is here. This is exciting. I mean, so many people here off the bat. Japoris from Clammy Manchester. Wow, we are completely international tonight, and blessed with Edward Souza. Welcome. Revood. I hope I said that right. Thank you for coming. This is going to be a great show, I promise you guys. But I like to give you all the spotlight at first because you came and you're spending your time with me and my guest. I like everybody to get recognized. Chris O'Connor's here. Welcome. Jules. Didn't come up. Jules. And then Space Cat. I know I'm going through these quick, folks, but there's a lot. Alien Bump. How you doing? How you doing? Clout Drought. Welcome. Dave Dennis, we got Jules, Andromeda. Let's see. Oh, the list. Richard McDougall. Welcome from Maine. Fantastic. Our dear friend Renee here, as always. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I promise you this is going to be a great show. Robbie's here. Welcome. Who I don't want to miss nobody. Connection Alien. Welcome. And Andy Sings, another Aussie here, chilling in my camper van, northern coast, northern southwest. And I feel this is going to bring up memories. Much love to each of you. All right. Well, thank you so much. Okay. Wow. I hope you guys are excited. If you're new to this channel, whatever platform you're watching on, if you wouldn't mind, just hit that little like button. And if you want to subscribe, see some other great interviews that I have. I interview a lot of amazing people. You can hit that subscribe button, and don't forget the little bell that rings. It's kind of important. Everywhere else, thank you. Now we're going to be doing it this hour, and then around 8 o'clock, we're going to stop it there, and we're going to give everybody a 30-minute break. And those that want to continue seeing the interview, where we are a lot more uncensored, as we will be on these platforms, will be on my Patreon page. If you want to go there and help support and subscribe, you get to see the nitty gritty, you get to hear the stuff that you don't get to hear everywhere else. So it's worth it. So the information is at the bottom. It's patreon.com/Doc Skinner. And that show will start at the bottom of the hour at 8:30 Pacific time until the guest is done. They make usually an hour and a half. Anyway, Ichabod McMudnuts is here. I'm just going to say him real quick. Elise Marie, and let's see. I think that's a pretty damn good group of people right there. Thank you all for coming. Let's get this done, shall we? All right, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, you may have heard of him. He's involved with the secret space program. And God, it's just so cool to have him here. Let's do it right now. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Rodrigues.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me, man. I'm blown away by all the people I'm watching the chat roll and the people. Like, I'm getting a little choked up. There's a lot of friends in there. So what a great audience. Thanks for coming and watching.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, dude, it's awesome. You are the first. There's many of you out there. They're in the program and out there speaking, and life and the vid and everything that's been going on. I just didn't get around to doing it, and I was even out of the game for a little bit. So I've been playing catch up with all my other podcaster friends out there, and I've just always wanted to talk to you and hear your story firsthand from you. Maybe not the whole story, whatever it is, because I know you do it a lot, I'm sure, but I'm known for kind of asking questions that aren't normally asked. So I'm really excited.
Those are the best ones.
Okay, good. So
those are the best ones. Ask fire at will.
Excellent. And then when we go over to Patreon, like I said, you can take whatever gag you might normally have on these platforms. And everybody loves that anyway, too. It's like they're in on the secret. So, all right, Tony, for those that don't know who you are, which I kind of highly doubt that with our audience so far, but just in case anybody new out there, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, what it was you did, and how you got into it?
So I'm a normal guy. I'm from Michigan, Ann Arbor area, where I grew up. And when I was about 10 years old, I went to school I was in the, gifted program of the school. And I went to class with somebody that said his dad was an Illuminati, and we didn't get along. And his dad came in for the science fair. Mm-hmm. And when I met him, he pointed him out to me, and there was a discourse. And not that night, but the following night, I was taken. I woke up with a gray ET in my room, and I was taken by ETs, and did subsequently what has been coined since then as a 20 and back, or a career return program. Like, I was taken, and I lived and served from black program to black program for about 20 years, and then was put back via exotic technology, and I was put back the same night. So I was taken on a Thursday night. I lived for 20 years, and they put me back in time. And I woke up Friday morning, the next morning, not knowing what the hell happened. And I was a completely different person, really, on the inside. I didn't remember. I had bits and pieces throughout my life that didn't make sense. I had memories that didn't make sense. I thought I was taken several times. because all these different memories where I was different ages, where I remembered being around ETs, but at an older age. So I thought, man, they came and got me later, and I just don't remember what the hell happened. But lo and behold, after a lot of other people have come forward, and then I discovered the Randy Kramer testimony in 2015, and I also had an MRI scan like the week before, so it's a coincidence. And man, everybody's saying hi. It's great. I love that everybody's coming through here. It's like Chris and Jean. If I get it right, man, I'm gonna get it right one of these days, buddy.
Yes, he says Jean Charles. Yeah,
Jean. Yeah, my French is terrible. I can't even say his name great. I totally don't mean any disrespect by that at all. I love him. I love him to death. But I was taken and lived that, and then I didn't really remember it. I had bits and pieces of the memory, and then in 2015, May of 15, I got like a huge recall. I went, "Oh my God, that's what happened!" And I wanted counseling. I was trying to process all the stuff that I remembered, and I couldn't believe that it panned out. And I started to research places, and it started to pan out that it was more than a dream. There were tangible places and people and things that I remembered that checked out. It began to check out and keep checking out. And so I got a hold of some researchers, and eventually in September of 16 did an interview, and I've been on the interview circuit ever since. I have a book out. It took me about 6 years to get the book done, and it's a huge load off my chest for that to happen, and a lot of people love the book.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. I forgot to upload.
I'm going to plug it right
image.
now. This is my shameless book.
Bring it.
Plug. I keep this one here just for interviews to point to everybody. So a lot of people like the book. I warn you right now, it's not PG. It's not an episode of Star Trek. It's more of a completely rated R. It's full of a lot of bad things, and so be advised. Hey, Chris and Lisa, but so I got the book out, man, and I was shocked that it was a bestseller for about 6 weeks, and it's still selling pretty good, and it's got 400 some reviews, a lot of positive reviews about it.
Let's help you real quick. I have moderators out there, one in particular, Audrey, or any of my other moderators. If you could do me a favor, is it on Amazon, Tony?
It's on Amazon. There's a link on my website, TonyRodrigues.com.
Okay, if one of you could just do me a solid, if you could go to his site, grab that link, and if you could throw it in the chat room so for everybody to see, and then what I'll do is I'll post it up on the screen for those that are on different platforms than yours. Was that complicated enough? I feel like there was a lot of steps in that, dude. So yeah, we want to make sure people know. I actually, on the promo, I did have your book covered there. I just forgot to upload it to StreamYard, so I apologize.
No worries.
Excellent.
My talking publicly has morphed over time for me. In the beginning, I was just like, I couldn't believe that it had. The more that I found things that checked out about what I remembered, the more I was excited and wanted to tell people. And I just thought, other people started reaching out to me. They're saying the same thing. Like, man, I feel like I went through what you went through. Tony, help me out. And so my message to them was, they were always, what do I do? And my message was, you got to trust your gut. It's not for everybody. And
Right.
To speak publicly about it. So, but nowadays it's morphed. It's like say everybody comes with the book questions. We'll have to come back to that.
Oh, do you want me? I could take these down for a second and just stop, and then we'll play catch up in a minute. Okay. I don't want to distract you. And so you guys are typing. I will come back to you. I promise I'll put a little start here, and that's where I start from. Okay.
But I mean, it's been 6 years since I started doing interviews, and the world has changed greatly since 2016. Everybody knows it, and we're seeing it continue to change. The world's continuing to change. We're on the cusp of a very, winding down the economy, global economy winding down greatly right now, and major changes taking place in the way that we consume power and just the way that things are. We're seeing the elites make big moves, and so the knowledge, and then on top of it, ever since about 2020, 2021, we really saw the information. I saw a lot of my interviews disappear. and we've seen a lot of information on SSP subject matter, and people that have spoke publicly about it disappear and step away from it. Really credible guys, people, and I mean by credible, I mean there's a lot of people that speak about it. I don't want to take anything away from anybody if I can help it.
Right.
But there are people. Some people are more credible than others because they have supporting evidence the way that I did, and not everybody has that. It's a luxury thing for me to say when I get a skeptic hit me up and I go, well, you can't explain the way I know Seattle. You can't explain Peru, and you can't explain this and that if you're a skeptic. There's some big hurdles in the way of a skeptic in my story, and a lot of people that are coming out publicly don't have that luxury, and so they've stepped away, and we've seen a lot of their information disappear, and we're also seeing a flood of seemingly BS come forward. There's a lot of people that are coming forward with kind of misleading information where it seems like, maybe they're unaware, or maybe there are certainly one or two that are very big in the community that are fully aware of being misleading, that it's on purpose. You can tell, and all the researchers behind the scenes knows it.
Which ones are the attention seekers?
No, these are people that are affiliated with 3-letter agencies. So we're seeing them kind of get back on track with what they used to be before 2016 to 2020. They kind of had their hands full, but now they're getting back on track with kind of burying the subject matter, a needle in a haystack kind of thing. And we're seeing people that were affiliated with 3-letter agencies that are coming out and just feeding a bunch of BS, into the subject matter. So they're burying it. So it's harder to find the real people. And like I said, a lot of the real credible guys have came forward, been harassed, and stepped away.
Which is understandable. It's understandable.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I haven't caught too much of it. But again, I'm somebody that didn't have a whole lot to lose. I'm not a wealthy man or I'm not somebody that had a ton to lose by speaking about this. I work a job. I work a job that nobody cares what my identity is during my day job. So there were a lot of people that a couple guys that I knew, they had really good day jobs, and they started to speak about this, and they caught hell from it, and their family and their work, and it cost them money. So they had to step away, and logically, but I didn't have that. So I kept talking, and really I think by the timing was I started in like I said, from 2016 to 2020, we really saw a lot of well, that's when I was talking, but we really saw a lot of the people that disinfo this kind of had their hands full. Like, I mean, the big government agencies at play really had their hands full. They couldn't mess with guys like me. So I think I kind of slipped through the cracks. And by now I'm well known that if something bad happens to me, I'm just going to look like a martyr because I'm already well known enough. So people that are coming forward now, some of them are genuine and they're having a harder time. And some of them are not genuine and they're seemingly, getting pushed right to the front of the community. Of
the line, yeah.
But the good news is the audience isn't stupid. People in the audience, they know when somebody, when somebody's kind of being deceptive. You just know that, and we all do. So time's going to tell. And I said this a long ago. Like I caught some skeptics in the beginning, and I thought, your guys they said, Tony, you got mind programmed. So there were people that came out and said, he got mind controlled and he was programmed with screen memories. And my answer to that was, well, that's cool, but I got 20 years of screen memories. So that's a pretty impressive screen memory machine you got there. And that's also worth talking about. That's also worth me being on a show and saying, dude, they're putting 20 years of screen memories in people. What
the technology itself would be just flabbergasting.
But the truth is that time has been the greatest lie detector of them all. And I'm still here. It's been 6 years of it. And, I keep stumbling across things that just support my testimony. So, whatever. I think I'm on a tangent, man.
How many people do you think have discovered what you discovered and are out there that maybe you've met, or that you may assume that there's at least, another 20, 30 people out there like me? Have you ever come across others? I mean, I know you come across a few, but any that aren't known to the public?
Most of them are not known.
Yeah.
I'm coming up on 3,000 people that have contacted me.
Wow.
I'm like somewhere in between 2,500 and 3,000 people that have contacted me and said, "Man, I saw your interview and it made me I start crying, and will you help me out? Please, can you talk to me?" So much so that I charge $100 an hour on the website for people to consult because I couldn't keep up with them all. And
Well,
the
yeah,
$100
yeah.
an hour wasn't because it started really eating time up out of my life. Like I got a 9 to 5, and I do consults. I still do 3 or 4 a week at that
Yeah.
rate. So that's how often I'm getting contacted. It's still ongoing. And there's some people that I don't even get back to because it just gets busy and they get buried under there. But
Right.
thousands of people have contacted me. And the thing is, it might not be some people say, man, maybe everybody's been abducted. They just don't know it. Right.
Right.
So there's that. But I don't think that it's everybody, but I think it's a pretty significant number. I think we're up there. 10% of the populace may have been involved and just doesn't know, because these are technologies that have been around long before we were, kind of thing. So they're very good. And there was the Far Sight Institute. There's a lot of other people that come forward about my story.
Yeah.
And so
I'm
maybe
a
I
big
had a
follower
perfect
of them.
storm.
Yeah. I'm
Maybe
a
I
big
had a
follower.
perfect storm of their activities and other things that helped me get my memories back, because it's very rare for people to have memories, especially I haven't heard anybody come out and say that they were a slave up there. Most of the people that get their memories back were somebody that had an official capacity, like John, like was a soldier and was on a very advanced ship, very advanced craft, and had kind of some rank and title. So he's got his memories back. So that tends to be the people that remember. So people that were being enslaved, like me, are a class of people that don't get, probably a completely different blend of the technologies too that puts them up there. And most of them don't get their memories back. Some people have, and I've heard horrible stories, predominantly from women that get taken. And I categorized everybody in 3 categories from all the people that I've talked to: human contact, which is like Earth-based space programs; the local draconian Orion group contact, which is usually very bad. Their testimonies are usually horrible. And then everybody else, the third category is everybody. Like there are literally trillions of species that can interact with us, and they have all different levels of technology and all different reasons that they would take somebody. And that seems to be a third category. Most of those people are not in the United States. It's like the United States has like the populace of the United States belongs to a certain couple programs, and then the rest of the world is divided into other programs where they're free to come and take people as they want. So it seems to be that way. I'm not officially saying that that's the case, but it seems to be that way from the research that's fallen into my lap. I'm really not I never set out to be a researcher by any means, but it just kind of fell in my lap.
Yeah. Man. And or I hope you didn't already mention this, but just in case, because I'm trying to keep up with questions too that might be good ones to ask and everything. What was the first thing that made you go, shit, I was part of this big program? What was that, or at least the first thing that made you go, I need to look into this more?
So
what was it?
So my entire life, so from 10 years old, the first 30 minutes of having a gray in my face and reptilians come at the end of the bed and carry me into a bright light, and then waking up in a laboratory, that first 30 minutes never got erased. Wow. Like I'm talking a couple of weeks after the event, I started to remember that. And so the rest of my life I spent researching, looking for it. I read the Bible. I'm like, I thought religion's got to know what's going on here. I read the Bible. I read the Quran. I read the Torah. I read every religious text I could from my teens into my early 20s. And I kept looking for extraterrestrials because I knew that I always remembered that. And I was the guy that got drunk at the party and said I was abducted by aliens, like the crazy guy in Independence Day.
Yeah.
The kid's dad. I was that guy. And
that was me too.
So, I got abducted when the subject would come up, and it's like I didn't have enough memory to really support what I was saying. I looked like an idiot. But it was when I got my memories back in 15, like all the dots connected, and I went, oh my God, that happened. And because I couldn't figure out the time frame of when I was. So that, I guess, May of 15, when I got the memories, and I went, oh my God, that happened. And I stopped and I went, oh my God, that happened. That's real.
Now,
And then I started to look them up. I started to look up places on Earth. The house in Seattle I found on Google Earth, and I just was dumbfounded. I kind of staggered around for the rest of the day on that day.
Was it just things, it would just happen, or were there certain things that would trigger these memories, these lost memories?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Like, I mean, like a strobe effect or a smell or seeing a blonde hair woman or something that would trigger and remind you of this forgotten past. This 20
right. So
years.
here we go. So, okay. So you did ask a question that no one's asked before, and it'll get personal quick, man. So,
Okay.
in all these interviews, I've been a pretty well open book, but I'll say this, that when I was up there, in the end of the book, there's a character in the book named Marie. It's not her real name. I renamed everybody in the book.
Of course.
So, but it was Marie. So at the very end, I think one of the motivators for keeping my memories back is because I was like in the height of a relationship with a girl on series, with a slave girl on series, and I did not want to forget her. We were, how relationships have, like, you meet and they have that big curve and then the ebb and flow. So we were in the very, very height of the very beginning. And she wanted to forget everything she'd been through up there. She said, whatever cocktail they give us to make us forget, I want a double shot. I don't want to remember none of this. And I said, you don't want to remember me? And she said, of course I do. And I said, well, let's just remember one part of each other. Let's look. And she's, what part of me can you not forget? And she said, your eyes are beautiful. So I'll remember your eyes. And she had pretty hands. And so I said, I'll always remember your hands, no matter hands and eyes. That's what we'd say, hands and eyes. Wow. That's what triggered me. Is I would, once in a while, I would come across a girl that had hands like hers, and I would go, kind of, what? What is this? Yeah, I was like, what? And so there's that. So that was a triggering thing. That was something, and that was very real. It wasn't until,
well, that's love, man. It's love is the most powerful thing.
That's how it works. It's a core thing. The other thing is that those feelings are not really necessarily driven by your brain. It's when they erase your memories, or however that works. Those memories are somewhere else. without being disgusting. Yeah. But so that was one thing that triggered me all the time when I saw hands like what, just certain type of thumb and whatever. And I would always freak out and go, why do I even care what hands look like? Like, I didn't get it. And
so it was some kind of unknowing fascination that you didn't get yet. Aha.
Right. Okay. And when I got my memories back, I went, oh, that's why.
Yeah. And the floodgates open.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of little things like that. And, just there was like idiosyncrasies that I had. I still have I still eat super fast, and I explain why I got that habit in the book too. Like, I eat way fast. Yeah. Well, to make up the time on lunch, I got back to work quicker, and there was a score. It was like a contest of, productivity score.
Right.
And so that's how I beat the guy just how much productivity you get done. And that's how I beat the guy that was my counterpart, because he refused to eat fast, and I would wolf my lunch down, and I beat him. I got ahead of him. And so that was something that I still do. It's like a habit that I can't unlearn. Like, I eat like an animal sometimes.
Wow. So, okay. So a lot of people are probably, actually, I do have a couple questions here. Paul Marsh wants to know, does the new Space Force, is it a part of the secret space program or separate to compartmentalize it?
I would recommend Dr. Sala's book on that, The Space Force, because I read it. The thing is, he was very gracious and sent me a copy because I'm in it. I'm on he mentioned me a couple of honorable mention at the end of the book. So I read it, and it really tells about the funding behind the CIA program, the NRO, and how that funding worked. That all I think tells a big story about how America is working right now, about things they're going. I think it's a big deal.
Those are the black budgets.
Right. So they had an audit. The CIA had an audit, but it's detailed, so I don't want to talk too much about that. But yes, the Space Force is ultimately our space program. So, the United States, they've been trying to bury it. All these other space programs, the CIA especially, been trying to bury the Space Force. Like, like when the Air Force, when they invented airplanes and the Air Force came out, the Navy and the Army didn't want the air branch of the Air Force to come into existence. In fact, they shelved it for a while until it finally was super necessary. The Space Force is the same thing, but it's ultimately going to morph into what we're going to need to have a public program out there once we disclose other civilizations. We're going to need that. The Space Force is something that is going to be necessary to enable us to communicate with them.
And by doing that, they needed Trump to make it public by calling it Space Force so they can morph the secret space program into that, say, oh, look what we've created, these great triangle ships that you've all been seeing, and explain away a lot of stuff. But one thing that's on some people's minds is this alien attack that has been going around the mill, being Project Blue Beams, where it's holograms of the big ships, but inside you have Air Force bombers dropping real ammunition. Or is this something we should hold for the Patreon page? If I ask something that's a little too much, tell me. Save it for the next one.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, I don't know. I don't have any insight as to whether that's going to be real or not. I really don't. It's definitely not beyond them to kill the populace, to sway the rest of the populace to do. And I don't want to talk. Maybe we will definitely talk about this on the Patreon when we're off of the public air, because I don't want to get you in trouble. But
thank you.
It is definitely a method of them to sacrifice some of the herd in order to manipulate the rest of the herd of the people that they're in charge of. And so that is something, whether it's planned, whether it's going to go through, I don't know. But it is totally something that they would do and not lose any sleep about it whatsoever. They would.
Yeah, it's been done throughout history. It's just,
Absolutely.
Thinning the masses, population control, eugenics. All the way back to, for example, the Mayans, when they were losing control of their people. So the shaman would say, if you don't do what we say, the gods will eat the sun, because they knew the eclipse was coming. And then when they didn't behave, it happened, and they lined everybody up, started cutting their throats, ripping the hearts out, knocking the heads down the stairs. And then the sun would come back, and everybody was fucking petrified. And they're like, dude, yeah, whatever you say, we'll do it. Okay, boss, let's do it.
Got them right in line. Yeah.
And that's all about it. It's all about controlling the masses. And the powers that be are really freaking good at it. Sorry, I'll get off my box.
Yeah,
sometimes I go on
rants. I'm reading
rants.
some of the stuff over here too.
Oh, okay. And I don't know. Can you click on them? Can you show them on your?
I don't think so. I can see them over here. I can't click on them. There's no clicking.
Well, there is, man. We got about 120 people in here right now, live.
Awesome.
Watching us.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yes. And like I said, you can head over to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Doc Skinner, at the bottom, about an hour from now, at the bottom of 8 o'clock. And we'll get down to some more nitty gritty stuff, a little less censored. So anyway, all right, let's see. Was there any other questions here that you saw? Pretty sure, because it's hard, because sometimes they're just having conversations with each other and I don't want to interrupt those. Everybody's just saying cool. Here we go. Edward Sosa says, Tony, who are the Giants and you think they're coming back? Oh, this is a good one. I've been talking about this. What is your thoughts on that?
So there's more than one kind of large race. So who they are, I don't know, but I know that there are several very large races up there, and I know that there were a few. How big of a giant are we talking about?
Well, like you have, like there's the red bearded one in Afghanistan.
How big are those supposed to be? The red?
I think it was 10, maybe 12 feet.
Yeah. So there were 9-footers on series. They did not. They looked very human, but not. They looked clearly not human. Put it that way. They were a lot like us with the skin and the hair, but they were clearly not human. And so there are many that are like that. They tend to come from smaller planets. The smaller planets tend to grow larger. There's me fidgeting again. They tend to grow larger humanoids, and the heavier planets tend to grow shorter, stockier humanoids.
I was going to say something
in the heavy gravity.
With gravity, of course, yes.
So there are many of them. So that particular race, the other thing is that a lot of people are unaware that as time progresses, so you right now, and not only you, but a cube of 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot of space next to you
Mhm.
is bigger than it was last year. So as time moves on, not only does time
Expansion.
space, it expands. So we are bigger. If like even if you stayed the same size in our relative time space, in fact, you are much bigger than you were. So if you traveled back in time space right now, so there's a size difference as well. So
Yes.
I always have a thing like maybe these guys are in cryogenic, maybe they're from the future, and we'll
Well,
catch if they were in cryogenics that we would catch up to size and they wouldn't be that big. Like maybe they came back in time. So that is something that is doable too. Time space does expand as it ages. So,
yeah.
and I mean the space in between also, everything
Well,
grows at the same rate.
everything, because I did a show where I discovered that there's not only black holes, but there's white holes. Black holes suck everything in, and white holes spit everything out. So they're thinking, what if the Big Bang was a white
It's
hole
actually
just
the
coming
big
out of nowhere?
torus. It's
But
the big
yeah,
toroid. Yeah.
toral energy. God, I
Mhm.
love when people know it. I'm thinking, and yeah, um, that could be that's a whole. I would love to have you back on other shows. We could talk about different topics, but this is our first time, and everybody's really excited. Here's a good question. I've been in the entertainment industry for 40 years: TV, film, producing, directing, stuntman. I was the abominable snow pig and Bugs Bunny on ice. I mean, I've done it all. Um, but I've always talked about why I stayed in the movie industry for as long as I did, because I was able to see through the veil at an early age, because they tried to groom me and stuff when I was young, where I worked at Disney and stuff. And I just, where was I going with this? See, I just had a brain fart. Oh, yes. I've stayed in it because I knew, I felt like the Oz behind the curtain, seeing the mechanics of how things were done, from how the storylines were created, what inspired that writer, or what was told to this writer to implement into the storyline, so that the masses would see this, so that the powers that be could say, hey, we told you,
That's right.
either through books or movies, TV, film, anything in the form of entertainment. So the next question that we have here is from Paul Marsh. Where'd it go? There it is. He asks, do you feel Hollywood has depicted in its movies some of the things you have seen?
Awesome question. Paul, thank you for asking that, firstly. Secondly, Hollywood for a long time was stayed ahead of people that came out in ufology and went public. Hollywood would stay in front of them and they go, oh, well, you must have saw that on this movie. That's not. But there for a little while in the last couple years, the whistleblower got in front of Hollywood because they had to shut down for COVID. And they're
Right.
really in a mad scramble right now to come out with things because that's the main thing to use for deniability. When somebody comes out and says, look, man, I was in space, and
You
there's
saw a
lot going
movie and
on.
you saw this movie and you had a bad
They're like,
dream.
you just saw, well, look, dude, I came out and talked about seeing fighting insectoids on Mars, and everybody's like, you just saw Starship Troopers. And well, so it's a great cover,
Yeah.
but there for a while recently, they're behind us. They're a little bit behind us now. There's a lot of us talking about things that Hollywood hasn't got to yet, and so they're in a mad scramble. We're seeing some pretty good sci-fi come out as a result.
Well, so speaking of sci-fi, so I mean, being that you experienced all these things, and you learned things of other creatures and planets and cultures, right? Yeah, it's wow. My head is just spinning with words and questions that I have for you, and I'm trying to slow it down and like grab the right one. And
Have a bottleneck, yeah.
oh yeah, I don't know if it's a download or if it's all these people and their questions. But yeah, doing this, what movies, or could you say, if not, we'll save it for Patreon, what movies do you feel or that's like that's as close as it got is in this
Oh, there's
movie?
tons of them. I don't want to go on the, I don't want to paint it all into one picture. So The Expanse, the TV show The Expanse had a lot, had Series Colony on it. I was blown away by that. Like, thankfully, I was on the record before I knew about The Expanse. There was a set of books, but I never read them. But I went on the record in 15 about it, and they came out. And not only that, I think that the writers don't know necessarily, and the actors don't know necessarily, but the special effects teams, the companies that are doing special effects, are definitely involved, and they're doing special effects that have disclosure about it.
Do you think it's somebody on the inside that's feeding these Hollywood?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Spielberg
absolutely.
and all the.
I think it's part
guys?
of the apparatus. The entire it's not just Spielberg. It's not those guys. What I'm saying is it's part of the actual space program apparatus. It's a safety valve. It's like a pressure valve for us, because people are. The other thing is, I kind of alluded to this, like over the last 6 years, me talking about this. Disclosure has gone one way, but the direction I'm going in is that basically everybody has also covered up psychic abilities, like especially on the group level.
Yes, yeah.
So people would
dream
dream about it and figure the stuff out anyway. So as a pressure relief valve, the apparatus of the space program has always, back in the 50s, you can watch sci-fi from the 50s, and they were telling us back then what was going on. It was a pressure valve for the subconscious mind to just say, okay, there it is. And I had a feeling about this, but there it is. It must be that movie, whatever. I can move on and get back to my life. And so they definitely involved on a high level, on a high caliber level. I think it's above the director. I think it's above the writers, and it's above the actors.
Studios.
It's the studio itself, exactly. Like the execs of the studio, and they have the special effects is a completely different compartment, and there are a lot of things that you see on there that I go, man. And there's a lot of things that I'd like to see still in Hollywood. I'd love to see the reality is that instead of everything being, when you look at a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's or any of the Marvel movies, it's very polished, and they go into space. It's bright. It's like 4K film and everything. The reality is that it's a mixture of that. That it's both grungy and dirty and boring, and for most parts like just straight hallways, concrete hallways and boring stuff, and then there are certain areas that are shiny like that.
Well, is there oxygen on these planets that you're on, or is it recycled and everything's airtight?
So Sirius Colony was all underground, and it was all inside the planetoid. So they had artificial gravity, and they had several oxygen producing machines that were the size of a house that just produced it. So air actually physically leaked out of the colony in the hangar bays. Air would physically leak out, and they had machines that could they were converting chemicals into atmosphere faster than it would leak out. And so
these are chemicals from minerals and materials from that planet that could do it, or something they would bring.
And the tech, right, and the machine. So they were. I remember whenever the subject came up of the hangar bay door being caught open 3 feet at the end of 19 miles away, 3 feet of the door, 3 feet open to space. Imagine being in a room that was, 10 miles, say, for instance, the big hangar bay, a room, and knowing that at the other end of it was open to vacuum by 3 feet by 1,000.
Wow.
And so that was a big leak in there, and we knew about it, and so it was uneasy. And everybody would say, "Don't even worry about it. They have enough. We can double that in production of air." So it's not. They were not even worried about it at all.
I'm working on a project that I'll tell you about after our second show. Did you guys? I mean, how far away are these places that you're going from Earth? Like thousands of light years. I mean, I don't know how far Sirius is.
Sirius is in between Mars and the asteroid belt. It's in our solar system.
I'm thinking of a
planetoid
star.
Sirius.
I'm thinking of
that's Sirius. For some reason, everybody confuses it with Sirius. But
then I don't feel like half as stupid.
we would leave and go to several places on the far end of the galaxy. We'd make 4 or 5 stops. We'd make another stop on the way back in the outside of the perimeter. In the Kuiper Belt, we had warehouse facilities there. We'd stop there, and then we'd fly into Sirius in a day. So the ship could jump very vast distances and we could use natural portals and go to other galaxies and jump just as quick. So there was a portal there was a natural portal, like a wormhole, a distortion in space time near Jupiter. There's several of them, I believe.
Okay.
But we would go there and use the natural one, and we could access like something like 18 galaxies, other galaxies. And you could go to those galaxies and find another, if you knew somebody or, got directions, then you could go to another natural portal and go to another 18 galaxies. So these are all things you could go there in one day. We didn't stay overnight ever. We never went overnight on the ship that I worked on. We were back at the end of the day and went home. And a lot of times I had to go to school. I had to go back to class.
Wow. I got two questions. We'll go to Maria Laura, who had a question here, but I'm working on this thing and I was curious. You're on this big ship, right? It's a big ship, a lot of people. Okay. What was the onboard entertainment? Did you have your own internet and TikTok and Netflix?
Nope. So they did. So I was kind of a monkey that worked downstairs, and I was in engineering. And so I had a very industrial looking computer screen that it was very industrial. It was boring. I input numbers, but the officers had their own like iPad tablets, and there was a progress officer that would come through every day, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and just see where we were and mark down our progress for the day. And so they had news. There was a solar system wide news like a bulletin board. And he had things, he was looking at videos on there, and he would show us every now and then things that were discovered, and like where we were in space. So where we are, and he could call up the map of where we were, the star chart of where the ship was. And we would always ask him, let me see, like we were, and he was pretty cool about it. Sometimes he couldn't be bothered because he was in a hurry. He'd say, I'm behind, I can't mess with you guys today. I'll see you. But there were times when he sat and he'd let us check it out. And what was neat was that it was 3D. So you could look at it without glass, and it had about an inch or so of 3D effect, and it tracked your eyes where you went, where you looked at it. So you could interact with it. You could mouse with your eyes, kind of. And he would hand it to us and let us see what's going on. All the time. Really, that was my only. And honestly, the other thing that I don't say is that I was very bitter about not having access to that. To their internet. I didn't have access ever. I couldn't watch sports or TV or learn anything. I was a slave capacity. So deep inside, I was very bitter about it. And when I did get access, when I was out, when I had enough freedom to be out in the colony, and I'd sit down in a restaurant that had a TV on, I was like, screw this. I don't even want to watch this because I'm not going to get into it. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like not being allowed to watch TV and then going over your friend's house. You'd be like, I don't even want to watch your TV. Come on, let's do something else. Yeah, that was really my mentality there. It's hard to convey that to people because everybody wants to know how to build the spaceship from me, and I don't know, man. I was not a officer.
It was like compartmentalized.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to get to Maria.
Yeah.
We're talking. I'll get her a question. So I had tons of friends up there on the ship. I got to know the guys on the last ship pretty good. I got to have a couple friends in the barracks where I was. Not great friends. It was pretty chippy. And then, the reptile that I hung out with was probably the only ET that I got close with. On the return, I spent only like a day with him, and he was a neat guy. But mostly, I was not allowed to speak. I was told not to interact with ET species. There were times when I sat across the table in the club with a human from another planet, and he said he was from a free world. Like, we're not from a free world. He was from a post-disclosure world where they had disclosed and they could travel and interact with the interstellar community. And he said he felt sorry for me, and we just kind of talked. He was kind of a neat, kind of a stuck-up guy, but a cool guy, just nonetheless. But he was an ET. He was a legit ET, but he was a human.
Wow. So if this is so massive and so expansive, with all of these creatures, this technology that you can go freaking basically Stargate to Stargate, as it sounds. Why haven't we been given access to technology? Why do they keep us at this point? If there's so many other planets, why this one?
Well, you know what? I'm going to say the painful thing.
Okay.
This is going to hurt.
All right.
Where do you live in a city?
No.
So I mean, have you met people? I mean,
Oh,
look at some people, man.
oh no. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm just like, I live on a mountain now. I got out of the city
You got
because
the hell out of the city. Why is that? Why not live in the city by everybody else if everybody's so great?
they
Be-
live.
exactly, because we've been, and here's the real thing is like human nature basically. A lot of people, you can get over everything, but you have to want to get over it. But your childhood really sets the tone. Your genetics and your childhood set the tone for your behavior. And a
Right.
lot of people, we have been so programmed and so misled from legitimate human behavior that's participant of the rest of the universe. We don't have that goal. We have human behavior, and when you really follow the money system, you're not supposed to tell how much you make. You're not supposed to tell what you do. You're supposed to, when you get knowledge that helps you earn a better living, you're supposed to keep it a secret and not share it with people. Do you get what I mean? The very core of our existence, the very core of our system, social system down here, is to keep us apart from each other. And so we're talking about, so why would they want you up on their planet? So you could learn their thing and keep it from them, so that you can, you get what I'm saying by that? So you
Yeah.
can go up there and deceive other ETs, because our system is wrong. We've been brainwashed.
Right.
And so there's going to be that's why disclosure's already been stamped. They've already put a stamp on it. We're going to get a disclosure. We're not going to get murdered.
Right.
But they have to do it in a slow way. Like, we're violent, man, down here, and people do not treat each other well. And we have been fed this false construct of scarcity in the universe, and we've been disempowered so much that we victimize each other. So why would they let millions of us up there to victimize them? So it's just a logical conclusion. And until you can drive around and not see people road rage at each other, so you can be in public and not see people yelling and fighting,
or tent cities along the streets.
city, right?
It's
That's exactly right. Or people that are living in way too lavish things that go around. Like we are hard on the criminal element and the poor people, but I think the wealthy and successful people are just as horrible. I think that they behave horribly because they think they're better than other people that are their equals. And so I've seen incredibly bad behavior from all walks of life. And I'm a witness here on this planet. So are you. And so is everybody else in the chat. So everybody, until you can look around and start seeing people that are way more cooler and way more enlightened, we're not going to be invited up there. That being said, I think the fastest way to get there is to learn about up there. So we need to get access to their internet. We need to get a disclosure that this is what the universe is, and we can start unringing the bell of all the poison that society has swallowed.
And every now and then, I promise, unlike Amber Heard, I'm actually writing notes down here. Let's see. Is there, let's say, an intergalactic interweb?
So there was a solar system one that had access to other ones outside of it. So yeah, it was very, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't have access to it. This is what I was told from other people that came through. But there's a solar system, like there's a inner solar system news network where all the colonies can subscribe to it. And there was a network that showed extra solar, you know what I mean? Like outside of the solar system, there's a great deal of information from other worlds, from other networks that is on it.
It's making me think of the Simpsons episode with the two octopus guys, and they have these shows on all these planets, and Earth is the #1 channel because we're so fucked up.
Yeah, well, we definitely would be. There's a lot of drama. There's definitely no shortage of drama.
Excellent. Let's see. What was the next question? Oh, this question right here, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So you could take a 30-minute break. Audience could take a 30-minute break. Anybody wants to join us in the rest of this conversation, uncensored, you can go over to patreon.com/Doc Skinner. Please support, and you can get some of the nitty gritty. All right. So here's the next question. Reading your book, Tony, do you think that Captain Zogler, am I saying that right? Zogler was infiltrated White Hat double agent? He seemed to have your back on a few occasions.
Well, so he was a patriot for the Ceres colony. He was born up there, and he would live there, and he was just a good person. There were many people like him. They were just people. That's I read a question over here, and I don't want to read to it, but like they go, aren't there bad aliens too? And in the same way that there's good and bad people, I don't, like you can't throw a blanket over and say the reptiles are bad.
All of them, yeah, I'm sure.
So there are trillions of reptile worlds throughout the cosmos, and they're people the same way. You know what I mean? Like they're just people like we are. And you look at some of the governments around, like there for a while, everybody wants to think there are places in the world today where the millions of people believe the United States is this evil, that everybody in the United States should be put to death because we're evil. And you know what I mean? Do you feel evil? I don't.
It's a blanket hate.
That's right. And so we have to be very careful about not only the ETs, but the Germans too. They're people that are trying to live their life. And Zogler was a good guy. And so there were many other guys on the staff. There were some bad guys. There were people that were just sociopathic, the same like we have down here. Like if you work in an office, if you hire on at an insurance agency and you work with 60 people, and there's going to be a slice of them that are total jerks.
So ego and greed isn't just restricted to us Earthlings. It's out there.
It's your perspective, And another thing is, so there are ETs that are highly advanced, that are socially advanced, and don't have the poison. Like I said, the poison that we've had, but they're not necessarily good people either. According to what they need for what their agenda is at the time, you may be a speed bump in their way, and so you can't just turn over and say, those people are those ETs are super advanced and whatever. I'm going to trust everything they do. You can't do that either, because they have their own skin to take care of. Right. So you know what I mean. Just be real. Like just be real with yourself and project that. And that's what's going to come back to you, like other people we want. And that's what I mean. Like when I was talking earlier about societies not ready, the way we treat each other bad, because we want to be part of these societies that everybody gets treated okay, that everybody has a rights, not some kind of like totalitarian system. And those are out there too.
Wow.
There's a ton of great questions.
Yeah. Here's the last one. And then we're going to sign off here and we're going to do our 30-minute break and then head over to Patreon. Tony, how do you feel about the liberation of the moon and Mars? I didn't know there was a liberation. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so I wasn't there when that happened, and I've heard about it. Elena Denon, our own Elena Denon, said that from contacts that she's had, and I support her. I really believe in her information, and so I hope it's gone like that. These are places that needed it. Mars is a very complicated planet, and it's not just. There's a lot going on there. Like when I was there, God, it was back in the late 80s when I was there. And there was like, we couldn't fly everywhere. Like there was restricted airspace. We did not have the reign of the planet as humans. We couldn't go anywhere we wanted. So and it's been liberated from us. And so we'll see what's going to happen. I know that SpaceX is planning on going there in a few years.
Okay.
It's going to be great entertainment.
I want to go way down the rabbit hole with you on that, with Mars and SpaceX and how it's going to mesh with the secret space program and many more questions. And if you guys want to come on and join, please do. Join me over at patreon.com/Doc Skinner, and you can join us live in about the next 30 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, amazing guest. He will be here again. I pray and hope he will.
Yes,
Tony Rodrigues, thank you so much. And so we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Is that enough time for a break for you?
Sure.
Okay, and I'll send you the new link for the new show. All right. In Messenger. All right,
guys, great questions. And also on my website on TonyRodrigues.com, you can get a hold of me. I have a Patreon show there that's being revamped, and that's getting going. But on my website, TonyRodrigues.com, you can email me if you have some questions. Hit me up. I might not get back to you immediately, but I will get back to you. So thanks. Thanks for everybody for coming out, man. I love you guys. And it's great to see a lot of my good friends in the audience as well. So thanks.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. And the rest of you will see you in just about 30 minutes. I'm Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah. And this is the Doc Force. And this is my guest, Tony Rodrigues. God, this was an amazing show. Let's keep it going, shall we? All right. Remember, folks, as long as we all lift each other up, we will all rise together. See you guys later.